folks. We're back with our Blue Wave Sports panel. Joining us this week, we have
Cyrus Smith.
Bugsy Nostradamus.
Okay, thank you guys for coming. Let's get it started with Super Bowl. Do you guys think the best team won?
Yes. It's the Super Bowl. The Ravens, they got up quick. They had the whole power surge. 49ers came back. But point blank, Joe Flacco completely proved himself. They kept scoring, even though San Francisco's offense was scoring and coming back. Ravens' offense held together, kept putting up, they put up a field goal, sealed the deal. Outstanding job. Ravens were the best team in the NFL.
Do you guys agree?
Yes, definitely. Like I predicted last show, the Ravens are definitely the better team, I feel like. They proved themselves early on. The power surge kind of took away from their momentum, or it could have gotten ugly. They could have blown them up by at least 20, 21 points. But the Niners showed that they, too, had talent, and they came back and made a game of it, which I was grateful of because I did not want to sit through another blowout like a long time ago, the years prior. So definitely Ravens were a better team defensively and offensively, I thought.
I don't think it's fair to say which team was better. I mean, in any football game, you've got all sorts of things. In this one in particular, a lot of extra components, a power surge, etc. I think for the future, the 49ers will be a better team, obviously. Colin Kaepernick,
I
unbelievable.
completely agree with that, completely.
But, I mean, obviously it was the Ravens' time. They got off to a huge start. The kickoff return by Jones was huge right after halftime. And, I mean, you could argue nobody brought up the call. You could argue the holding call, but it's also easy to argue calls throughout all football games.
Exactly.
Basically, the Ravens put themselves in a position to win, and when push came to shove and the end of the game, they won the game.
And at the same time, the power surge definitely helped the 49ers.
Definitely.
Like you mentioned, it would have been really bad, at least in my opinion, if that had not happened. I think the game would have not have been close at all. I think the momentum would have been with the Ravens.
Right.
Sticking with the Ravens, do you guys think that Joe Flacco was the MVP? Obviously, it's always normally an offensive player.
Right.
9 out of 10 times, it's the quarterback. Do you guys agree with Joe Flacco being MVP?
I 100% agree that he was the MVP of this game because he completely showed out. And like I was just stating earlier, San Francisco's offense is coming back in the game. Ravens fans are getting a little scared. Coming back. Joe Flacco keeps making first downs, draining the clock. They get a field goal, seals the deal. I mean, he had a great performance.
Mm-hmm. Do you guys agree?
I wouldn't have necessarily say 100%. I mean, I do agree that he should have been the MVP, but you could have made an argument for Anquan Bolden, who did a really, really great job. And you could have made an argument for Jacoby Jones with the kickoff return for the touchdown and the amazing comeback to the throw when he caught it and then juked the guy and then ran in the end zone. So you could have definitely.
It's hard for just two plays alone, no matter how special. It's pretty hard.
And Joe Flacco has been extremely consistent in the playoffs.
Agree.
Which I think. I mean,
he's led this team.
Yeah, throughout the playoffs, he didn't have an interception going into the Super Bowl, which is obviously huge.
Right. The only other quarterback, Joe Montana, was those two in NFL history.
He doesn't have the flashy plays like Peyton Manning or a Tom Brady's going to have. But I definitely do think that he did deserve it, not only for the game, but overall for the series. I think he definitely was outstanding.
Doesn't matter. He's a champion. What do you say about it, Bugsby?
You mentioned a good point, Joe Flacco, about the quarterback usually gets the MVP in a Super Bowl. And so, the fact of the matter is, if you look at the Ravens' whole playoff stretch, they found ways to win throughout. And again, it's kind of putting themselves in position. Joe Flacco did that. The two-play thing, you can't really say that because how many opportunities a game does a wide receiver get to make plays? Yeah. So, 2 touchdowns, a big move, electrifying thing at the beginning of the second half to continue the momentum, or would have without the power outage. You could definitely make a case for Jones. Flacco, 22 for 33, I think he was. 274 yards. He had the touchdown early to Bolden to get the momentum, established it, maintained it throughout the first half, and then, as you mentioned so eloquently, the fact that when it came down to it, he got those very vital first downs. So the way they do the award, you kind of have to.
Yeah, let's break down the word here. Most valuable player. Mm-hmm. So you're talking about Jacoby Jones. All right, could they have won without him? That's what you have to ask yourself.
He definitely had
Could
the
they
most
win without Joe
electrifying
Flacco?
plays. But yeah, that's a good point.
Valuable.
Without Joe Flacco, that Ravens team is not quite as talented.
Right. I mean, I would just like to add that if the game had been like a blowout from before the power surge, then I would have thought that Jacoby Jones would have been warranted with the MVP. But the fact that it got closer as the game went on, it put more pressure for Joe Flacco to step up.
Yeah.
So I agree that Joe Flacco should have definitely been the MVP. But if the game had been a blowout due to Jacoby Jones scoring the last 2 touchdowns, with the kickoff return and the receiving touchdown, I thought he should have gotten MVP.
You can definitely make a case for him, and I think he definitely was the most exciting player to watch. At least I thought so.
The Ravens defense did very well in the first half.
Yeah, actually, speaking of the Ravens defense, I was actually surprised at Ray Lewis's performance. I really wanted him to get MVP and shock everyone, but we talked earlier in the week, it was going to take like 15 tackles plus for him to get MVP, and I mean, it wasn't his best game of the series.
I mean, he played kind of mediocre. He was just out there, you know. He just did his part. And that's kind of expected. I mean, we all wanted the supernatural Ray Lewis from 10 years ago who would go around making tackles, forcing fumbles. But as you can see, age definitely caught up with him, and he kind of played just like a regular player.
A lot of people don't know that up till the Super Bowl, Ray Lewis actually led the playoffs in tackles. He was having a big playoff thing. But, you know, somebody made a good point at the party I was at, the fact that, you know, you think that kickoff return for a touchdown wasn't possibly or had something to do with what Ray Lewis said at the half, because they've ridden his motivational speeches all the way through this year, and you know, so
exactly. See, Ray Lewis is more about than just his performance on the field.
Right.
I was just, you know, the game before he had 13 tackles. I was expecting more of a game like that, especially because he has been so emotional, wearing his heart on his sleeve, and he's really put the team on his back, stuck with the franchise. And I kind of, for him, wanted more of an explosive performance. No doubt he was definitely very important to the team, got them to this point, helped them get them to this point. But I just kind of wanted a little more from him.
I think he's satisfied with the outcome.
Oh, I mean, Super Bowl champ. Yeah, you can't argue with that. I just think it would have been nice to see if he, you know, had, you know, 10-plus tackles.
Yeah, well, the thing, I mean, 49ers offense is spread out. I mean, Colin Kaepernick, I mean,
he's something else.
Let's just talk about him real quick. Yeah, they lost, but just hold up real quick. He's second-year player here, and he's done what he's done.
And he didn't even play the whole season, so that's definitely something to keep in mind.
Well, I tell you, it's scary. It's scary what they can do next year.
You never know, though. Cam Newton came in the league and blew up, and look what he did this year. And Colin Kaepernick's a similar type quarterback. I think it's a different situation because he's in San Francisco than Carolina. But Kaepernick, if he can stay healthy, he's got a pretty bright future ahead of him. Out of Nevada, of all places, bizarre.
Way better quarterback than Cam.
Well, and not
I
only
agree with
I
that.
think that he is surrounded with a lot better players than Cam Newton. I mean,
he's more
Carolina,
cerebral than Cam Newton. Athletically, Cam Newton's more gifted.
Yeah.
Colin Kaepernick, from the standpoint of the thought process and the decision making, and then which those might offset themselves, but then when you go from the standpoint of having the 49ers and the Panthers, that's where Colin Kaepernick will ultimately be elite to Cam Newton when we look back 10 years.
Yeah, and when you're surrounded with people like Gore, I mean, it makes your job a little easier.
Right.
No doubt he is a great...
LaMichael James is going to be...
Vernon Davis.
He's surrounded by a great team, and there's no doubt that the 49ers, you know, granted everyone stays healthy, that they are... I mean, next year, I wouldn't be surprised if they made another Super Bowl appearance.
They're in good shape.
Good shape for the next 5 years, definitely.
Okay, now let's move on to some FAU football. As you know, signing day is this week, and we had some very high-profile recruits coming through. The whole Keith Bryant visit. What are you guys' thoughts on that?
I just think that Keith Bryant, and I mean, definitely a highly touted prospect, and is an honor for FAU to be even hosting a recruit of his level. It just shows that Coach Pelini and his staff are actually stepping their game up and trying to bring football players that are good enough to compete and push us to the next level in Conference USA. But, I mean, 18-year-old just doing crazy things. I mean, he clearly knows that he's talented, and I kind of really respect FAU and Coach Pelini knowing that if you're not taking us seriously, that you need to go, because we're about winning, and we want to bring players who are committed to us, and we're not going to have divas here. Right.
Let's go ahead and bring everybody up to speed, though, on what exactly happened, Taylor.
Okay, so basically, he's from Delray. He has a daughter, and he said the reason why he chose to visit FAU which not only in general, but his last weekend that he had to visit any school, he chose FAU, which shocked a lot of people. A lot of people criticized him for it. He said he has a daughter, he wants to stay close to her, so that's why he was considering going to FAU. Now, a lot of people are saying FAU coaches should have known he wasn't really serious. He had visited Purdue earlier in the year, and he basically, after the visit, said he never considered them. He was just going for a free weekend with a teammate, and he wanted to have fun. So some people are saying the FAU coaches should have known, kind of. He's enjoying the recruiting process, let's be honest.
Yes.
I mean, he's an 18-year-old kid. Of course he is. He's a 4-star recruit. So he's getting pulled all these different directions, and he's probably thinking, hey, it's my last weekend. I want to enjoy it. I have a teammate visiting. So some people are saying FAU coaches should have picked up on that and known. And other people are criticizing him and saying, hey, if you're not serious about the visit, don't take it. And if you are, at least act serious. Show up on time to meetings.
Right.
You know, take it seriously. Act like you're interested.
Professional.
Yeah, to add what Cyrus was saying, I mean, I don't think you could really criticize Florida Atlantic for bringing him in and, you know, giving him a chance because, yeah, he did that at one school at Purdue, and it is the weekend before signing week. But I mean, I guess the guy was screwing around and get him out of here. I mean, we are trying to establish something here.
Yeah.
We don't need any superstars. Like, all right, let's look at somebody else who's probably is leaving. Duron Carter.
Yep, he's already kicked off the team.
What do you do? What do you do for us?
Like I said, divas are nothing.
Yeah.
Divas are not here, not for FAU, not when we're trying to build a winning tradition as young a school as we are.
It wouldn't even be a discussion if we were at a big university because the you know the real football universities where hopefully we'll get, but they see stuff like this and it doesn't matter because they've got 5 other 4-star recruits. Right. And that's the thing is like FAU did it right from the beginning. They got that recruit in here in the first place, which is great. As you mentioned, they're stepping up their game, but he came, he didn't do what he was supposed to, and he's gone, and that's kind of the attitude. They need to bring in the good people, but it can't just be they're good athletically. They need to build a whole system. So it's probably going to take a little longer this way, but they're doing it the right way.
Yeah, and I mean, I say hats off to the FAU coaches. They're not going to let, he is the most high-profile recruit we've ever had, but they're not going to let him, you know, make a mockery of the school, and I give them props for that. And he did have FAU's hat on the table for signing day, which just that alone kind of helps the university. It got us in the press. It got people talking about us.
Right.
So any press kind of is good press. So
to an extent.
No publicity is bad publicity.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, guys, we're going to take a commercial break. We'll be right back after these messages.